The Backyard Naturalists podcast is presented by Backyard Birds in Matthews, North Carolina. Backyard Birds offers a unique in-store shopping experience highlighting the joy and excitement of attracting wildlife with the finest quality seed and the best quality bird feeders, bird houses, bird baths, and more. Bringing people of all ages together with nature and wildlife, Backyard Birds has everything you need to create your own backyard natural habitat. Connect with Backyard Birds at thebirdfoodstore.com or on social media. Now, here's Debbie and Laurie, the Backyard Naturalists.
Welcome to the Backyard Naturalists, the podcast about anything and everything related to nature. I'm Debbie, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself and then introduce my co-host who will do the same. I am in Matthews, North Carolina right now. Originally came from Georgia, lived in Mississippi for a little while. Once I got to North Carolina, I started really trying to educate myself more on nature. So I took a variety of classes and got a variety of certifications on things that really helped me not only get some more information, get some more knowledge, but one of the best things is that these classes will tell you where to go to get the information if you don't have it. Sometimes that's to a person who's an expert in their field, and sometimes it's to a field guide. Laurie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Charlotte. I have a store, Backyard Birds, in Matthews, North Carolina. I grew up in Alaska, thus the interest in nature. However, I was in the cosmetic industry for about 35 years. Bought the store about 10 years ago, and it helped fulfill the interest of nature. So
I joke that I don't think we have to be just one thing when we grow up. So it fascinates me that you went from a cosmetic buyer to the owner of a bird store, selling bird products and food and things like that.
Yeah.
I have a master's in education and speech pathology. Yeah. And my day job is training parrots. So you just never know where you're going to go. This episode that we're going to be talking about in this podcast today is kind of a jumping off point from another episode. We have had a woman named Monica McCoubry from Nebraska Wildlife Education on our show 3 different times. She is a phenomenal educator. If you have not found their Facebook page, look it up, Nebraska Wildlife Education. They post such interesting things about a humongous variety of topics.
Not just wildlife in Nebraska.
No, it's absolutely amazing. One of the things that she posted, I think, yesterday is that they have trunks of educational materials that people in their area, teachers or scout leaders or whatever, can come and check out. And they give them these materials to go and use so that children can be educated in nature.
Nice.
What a wonderful proposition. In one of her episodes, she asked us if we knew what a baby porcupine was called. And the 3 of us looked at one another like, nope. But we will never forget it. I see our producer pulling his microphone over. He wants to tell you what it is.
You know, we talk about these aha moments and things we want you to take away and remember. And that's one of the things that I think you're right. We'll always remember that a baby porcupine is called a porcupet.
That made all 3 of us go, oh.
It's one of those things you'll never be able to get out of your mind.
Yeah. Thinking about that randomly one day recently, it just popped into my head. I thought, we could do a whole podcast on what do you call a baby whatever. And while it's absolutely impossible to go over all of the baby whatevers worldwide, I thought we could kind of hit some highlights and have a little bit of fun with this.
So you're doing like what the baby is and what it belongs to, the name of the baby, and then all the animals it relates to. Okay.
Yep. Because
this will be fun.
Yeah, I think so. It will be fun. All right. So we're going to start with a calf. There are 18 animals, according to one of the sources I looked at, that call their baby a calf. Well, they don't. We do. And examples of those, cows, of course, everybody would have guessed that. Probably everybody would have guessed a whale. Mm-hmm. An antelope also has calf as a young. I would not have guessed that. I did not know that a baby camel is a calf. I did know a giraffe is a calf. Here's one I bet nobody knew. Did you know an aardvark has a calf? I did not. I didn't even think about what you would call a baby aardvark. And then a porpoise, and with a nod to the holidays that have just passed, reindeer young are also called calves. And then pups were even more prolific than calves. There were 20 different animals that called their young pups. And one of them, everybody should know, especially after listening to Ruby Davis's episode from Carolina Wildlife Conservation Center. She talked about bats. So bat young are also called pups, as are dogs, as are prairie dogs, as are seals, and as are gerbils. And there are a lot more than that, but we just thought we kind of hit some highlights.
The bats was kind of odd. I didn't think of bats as pups.
I had read that somewhere, but I did remember Ruby saying it.
Right.
We were just talking about how poor all three of our memories are, but that we may not remember some things, but we did all remember Porcupet.
Yes, and we can go back and research.
Right.
Yes. And a joey?
Most people are going to come up with one animal for a joey. What would that be? Chris?
It's a kangaroo.
Yeah, the kangaroo, absolutely. Well, it turns out that all baby marsupials young would be called joey. So that includes the wombat, the koala, the wallaby, and an animal we have had on this show, the opossum.
Their babies are called joeys?
That's what the research that I did said.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've never heard anybody refer to baby opossums as anything before. So,
Okay, cubs, bear. That's definitely, everybody knows a bear. Cheetah, lion, tiger, raccoon. I didn't know they were called cubs.
I think they're called a lot of different things with raccoons, according to my research, but that's one of them.
Walrus and a hyena.
A hyena cub, yeah. A walrus cub. Didn't know that either. Yeah.
Now, you would think a hyena would be called a pup.
You would. And maybe it is in some cases. Again, a lot of these had more than one name, which kind of surprised me. I thought it would have been more accurate or specific than that, but maybe I thought wrong. All right, Laurie, what about the hatchlings?
Okay, that's an alligator, snakes, emu, squid, turtles, and birds. Birds are only when they're just newly hatched is when you call them.
Yeah, because if you think about it, what do we call the phase when they start getting ready to fly?
Yeah, fledglings.
Yeah.
So it's hatchling, fledglings.
Yeah, hatchlings are, I guess, newly hatched, newborn birds, and then after that, it's not that. So there are a few that you might not know, and I deliberately tried to seek some of these out, some of them just because they entertained me. So, okay, Laurie, hit it.
The Krea?
Krea, yeah.
Krea is a llama and an alpaca.
Yeah. Had you ever heard that word before?
I don't know.
I don't know. I actually got to go to, I believe it's a llama farm off of Idlewild Road. And so they introduced us to their Kreas, which was how I came to know it. And amazingly, it stayed in my memory bank.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Go figure. All right. So what do you think a baby frog is called, folks?
Chris is going to answer.
You know,
that's a good one.
It's not hard, but it's not something I've ever heard.
A baby frog is called it's a tadpole, right?
That's not what they said.
Get out of here.
I know. They called it a froglet.
A froglet.
And there were a number of animals I remember seeing that they put the suffix let on the end, which just basically means small, right? So small frog. I guess that works. All right.
Antling?
An antling. And that is a baby?
Ant?
Yep. How about that? I had never heard that one before either.
They need to get more creative on some of these.
Well,
Antling.
you know, then again, if you heard antling, you're probably going to, and see it in writing especially, you're probably going to say, I bet it's an ant of some sort. If you don't know anything about llamas or alpacas and you see Krea, you're not coming up with it. Kit is a fairly common name, and this refers to the young in ferrets, skunks, and weasels, and I know I have seen that in reference to beavers too. I remember it in a very popular children's book from years ago, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and foxes too.
Fox kits, yeah.
Fox kits, yeah. Okay. And poult?
Yeah.
Turkey?
Yeah.
A baby turkey is called a poult.
It's called a poult,
Okay.
yeah. And it's Poult, folks,
Poult.
just in case you didn't know that. Now I think this is my favorite from everything, probably because we love Porcupet so much. So, a baby platypus is called a puggle or a platypup. That's so cute.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like I just remember reading that one of the zoos in the United States had its first birth of a platypus, and they had a picture of it.
A platypus.
Of a puggle or a puggle or a platypup, technically.
and salamanderine.
Salamanderine.
Salamanderine. Okay,
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
That is a mouthful.
Yeah.
Well, guess what that is, yeah.
And then here's another one that maybe people will know this. What is a baby swan called? Chris, have you ever heard of this?
Only because I've got it right in front of me. But
He's cheating.
Yeah, I'm cheating. I'm looking ahead. I've never heard that word.
Really?
I've never heard this.
Yeah.
Cygnet.
Cygnet.
With a C. Cygnet.
Yep.
I wonder where the origin of that word.
You know, there is, if I remember correctly, a constellation that's the swan, and it's CYG something. I can't remember the rest of the name. There you go. I'm sure we've got some people that are gifted astronomers on here that might come up with that.
The pigeon's throwing me off.
The pigeon, I love that one.
Never heard that before.
You haven't?
No.
So I have seen on fancy menus, not that I eat at fancy restaurants, but I do remember looking things up before, and they had this on the menu.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So
not good for a vegetarian.
No, exactly. Well, none of these are technically, I suppose, huh? So a baby pigeon is called a squab, SQUAB, squab.
This one eat a squab.
Well, you could say that about who's going to eat a Cornish hen or a poult.
Yeah.
See, eating a Cornish game hen, it's almost like eating a crawfish. It's too much work for the little bit you get.
That's what my husband says about chicken wings.
That and
too much work. And ribs with bone in. So this one made me go, aw, a baboon, a baby baboon is called an infant. Isn't that precious? And you see these animals cradling their young, like a mom would cradle her baby. So that's kind of cool. And then we do have some that are called by different names. So any of these would be correct. It's just that they have different names they're called by.
The beaver is a kitten or a pup.
Which seems to me to be terribly confusing.
Yeah, because, we've always called them a pup.
Yeah.
Pups.
Well, and I would just think it'd go in either the canine or the feline family, but not both. And then, like I said, I know I've seen it referred to as kitten. Now, maybe that was an abbreviation for kitten and I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then a hedgehog baby is called a pup, or rather predictably, when you think about it, a piglet.
Okay. And then the fox is called the pup, cub, or kit. And I think I've heard all three of those.
I think I have too. Yeah. Especially, I think kit is what I've heard more frequently. Mm-hmm. Okay, did you come up with anything in your research?
It's Latin, and the Latin version starts with a K.
Okay, you got me there. As Lisa Tompkins from Carolina Heritage Nursery informed me, I tried hard on the pronunciation of
I tried my best.
I did. I looked them up and practiced them. Apparently not well enough, but I did try.
One that you guys haven't, and I was looking ahead on your list because for some reason I just thought about this. How about a horse?
A colt.
Well, it depends on the sex or the gender. So it can be a
on the
filly.
Age and the sex.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A mare, a foal, a colt.
When they're first born, they're called foals. Mm-hmm. A male foal is called a colt, and female foals
are
fillies, and they change when they're 2, 3, or 4
years old.
It depends on if it's a newborn and how old the foal is. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
That's awesome. This is a great little episode.
A little knowledge is never a bad thing. I'm not sure that unless we get picked for Jeopardy and they only specialize in what is a baby whatever called, we'll use it much. But
if I'm on Final Jeopardy and it comes up and says a baby porcupine,
you are the winner.
I'm in.
We won't need to keep looking for sponsorship for this show. We will have it made.
We will have a sponsor.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode on what do you call a baby? Fill in the blank today. We certainly did enjoy it, and we hope you remember some of it too. We also hope we remember some of it. We appreciate you listening to us today. We hope you'll like and share our podcast, give us a 5-star review, and come back and listen to us again. I'm Debbie.
And I'm Laurie.
We're the Backyard Naturalists, and we're signing off.
While recording the Backyard Naturalist podcast, Debbie and Laurie enjoy coffee provided by the Good Cup Coffee Company in Matthews, North Carolina. Follow Good Cup Coffee on Instagram and look for them at the Matthews Community Farmers Market this Saturday morning.